So last night, as I was doing show prep, I started thinking about Bernie's campaign and why it's resonating in a very profound way. And there are 1,000 answers to that question that play a part. But the big one that stuck out in my mind was, he's not afraid of his own liberalism. He owns it. And I think that's such a positive because from 1980 and onwards, no Democrats owned their liberalism. They ran away from it. So for those of you who don't remember, after the Jimmy Carter years, the Democrats suffered some massive defeats. And it was viewed in the general public that, well, the problem is they went too far left. And they were associated with and affiliated with, people thought, these dirty hippies who are trying to ruin the country. And, you know, us traditional Americans don't want to have the long hair and the tie-dye shirts and do drugs all day. So the Democrats are affiliated with them. We don't like that. So we're going to vote for Republicans no matter what. Now, again, on policy substance, I think it's a different issue. I think the Democrats were pretty much right all along on policy substance. But the perception of your average American was, they're too far left. Look at who they're in the room with. They're in the room with those dirty hippies and, you know, the anti-Vietnam people, and people thought that was unpatriotic at the time. So there's a million and one reasons why Democratic politicians thought, and perhaps partially rightfully so, I have to run away from the perception that I'm that. So after the Reagan era and the dominance, so you had 2 terms of Reagan, you had George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton came along. Now, many people don't know because this was early on, and I know I was 28. I wasn't able to follow the stuff at the time since I'm 28 now. When he was running the first time around, there's no way. I was just too young. But he ran as what's called a new Democrat and a third way Democrat. And he portrayed himself as above the fray. He did what's now called, it's the political science term, triangulation. Which means he looks at the left, he looks at the right, and he goes, you know, I'm not with these right-wingers because I am a Democrat and I believe in liberal values to an extent. But I'm definitely not with these left-wingers either because they're a little too crazy and they're a little too out there. So I'm the adult in the room and I rise above the fray and I'm a centrist and I listen to both sides. And, you know, since I'm more reasonable, vote for me, America. And again, at the time, you can argue that perhaps this is what America needed because the perception was the Democrats are too far left. On policy, I don't think they were, but the perception was because of the fact that they're tied with the hippie movement. People go, oh, that's just too far left. So Bill Clinton comes along, he wins, and then every single Democratic strategist on earth goes, that's it. We're done. Don't think about it anymore. Don't do any more analysis. It's crystal clear. You don't run far left. Look at what happened to Jimmy Carter, some would argue. Look at what happened to the subsequent Democratic candidates. They got their ass handed to them. Reagan destroyed. So they're like, no more seemingly going far left. The answer is always, the Democrats should always triangulate, be a new Democrat, be a centrist, stay in the center. Okay? Stay there. Don't go anywhere. This is where you're staying. So even in a primary, be kind of moderate. In a general, run further to the right, even though you already started out being moderate. So for the longest time, there were no Democrats who were being actual traditional Democrats in the mold of FDR. There just weren't any. The entire Democratic Party sold out to corporations, sold out to big money, and they started using the triangulation approach. Even after George W. Bush, who was a disaster, and he was a far-right winger, and the American people were like, anything but a right-winger now. We're done with the far right. We still had Democrats who were triangulating and being somewhat centrist. Obama at times appeared liberal. He was certainly to the left of Hillary Clinton. But when you really look at his campaign, was he all that liberal? He didn't even argue for universal health care. So, you know, you look at him and people think, oh my God, he was so far left. Not really. He kind of ran also a new Democrat triangulation-like campaign that was kind of centrist. So, and people would have voted for the Democrat no matter what after Bush. So let's be clear about that. But now people are sick of it. They want a progressive. They want a liberal. And Hillary Clinton's given us that 1990s kind of Democrat, the triangulation Democrat, because that was the formula for success, and they haven't broken free, and they don't understand that the country's changed. So along comes Bernie Sanders, and what does he do? He goes, not only am I a liberal, I'm a democratic socialist. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get universal health care, single payer for everybody, Medicare for all. I'm going to get universal college. We're going to be like the other modern nations. We're going to be more like Denmark. That's what we're going to do. We're going to raise the minimum wage. We're going to raise it $15 an hour. That's what we're going to do. We're going to get the money out of the political system. Money's corrupt in the political system. It's broken. So here's a guy with a vision. He's FDR 2.0. He's like, this. I'm telling you what I'm in favor of. Now, you tell me, in today's climate, what resonates more? The old, I'm a new Democrat, I'm a centrist, maybe I'll tweak around the edges sometimes, but maybe not. Incremental change, kind of, maybe. I don't know. That's my starting position. Then the Republicans will probably beat me back to doing nothing, but this is what I want to do. I want to tiptoe around and tell you this is what I'm in favor of. That or a guy who comes along and he's like, here is my vision. I have a philosophy. I have this idea of America. This is what I want in place. I want to continue on the project that FDR started. That's what I want to do. I want a new deal for America. What's going to resonate more today? Well, we had George W. Bush. We had the subprime mortgage crisis. We had the Great Recession. We got a centrist-y Democrat in Obama. People are like, we need more. We need more. They're sick of it. They're up to student debt to their fucking eyeballs, man. Medical bills is the number one cause of bankruptcy in America. You think they want a new Democrat to come along and say, maybe I'll change that, but maybe not, because I'm centrist. I don't want to be too liberal and scare everybody away. So when Bernie argues, no, I am a liberal, okay? I am to the left. People go, finally somebody's saying it. They haven't said it in so fucking long, and now we need it, and now it's here. So that's one of the reasons why he's doing well. And furthermore, people forget that there was a time, I often mock right-wing radio today. In the 1990s, if I was old enough and doing a show at the time, I wouldn't have mocked it. Why? Because at the time, it was a fucking powerhouse. So people forget that it was people like Rush Limbaugh, for example, who effectively demonized the word liberal. And that was pervasive all throughout America, where nobody would even want to say they're a liberal. That's part of the reason why people came up with the term progressive, where they say, well, liberal has been demonized so thoroughly that we'll come up with this new one that basically means the same thing, and it's progressive. But again, Bernie Sanders says, I don't care about any of that. I'm going to double down and I'm going to tell you you are wrong and I am right. And people go, oh, it's a fucking breath of fresh air. The guy's keeping it real. The guy's telling us his vision and he actually stands for something. What the fuck did the other people stand for? Donald Trump being an authoritarian and being a narcissist. Being a fascist. Ted Cruz, theocratic fascism. Even worse. Hillary Clinton, incremental change, maybe. Pro-corporate, pro-establishment, center-right Democrat. And then there's Bernie. He says, I'm a democratic socialist. I'm a liberal. I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight for you, and this is my philosophy. And people wonder why he's resonating. That's why he's resonating.